Hi, I'm Morteza Kordi, and in this tutorial, we are going to learn about arrays in programming. So what is a variable? First, let's learn about variable. A variable is just a memory location that store a value of a specific type. So this is a definition of variable, a memory location that store a value of a specific type. So let's assume that we have lots of cars and we want to store the number of cars that we have in a variable, right? Because that's what variables do. So we have a variable and the name of this variable is number of cars and the data type of this variable is integer. So suppose that we have 100 cars. So we assign the value 100 to this variable. But there is a problem here. What is that problem? Now assume that we want to throw a party, right? Now what we are going to do, we need to have a list that stores the names of the people that are invited to the party. We cannot use a variable because each variable can only hold one item of data, right? Let me read it again. Each variable can only hold one item of data. So what is the solution? The solution is to use arrays. So let me talk about the characteristics of an array. An array is a series of memory locations. Each memory location can hold a single item of data. All data in an array must be of the same data type. So let's think about array as a row of cells. So for example, here these are our cars, right? And we have a row, right? And we have the index 0. Inside the index 0, we have the first car. We have index number 1, and inside the index number 1, we have the second car. Index 2, the third car. Index 3, fourth car. So remember I told you in programming, we always count from number 0. So that's how we index these numbers. For example, index 0, first car, right? So by using an array, we can store multiple items of data in one place. For example, if we want to throw a party, we can just store the names of the people that are invited to the party in one place. And then we can use that array in order to manipulate that array in order, for example, to see what are the names of the people that are invited to the party. So now let's open our IntelliJ IDEA IDE in order to create some real-world examples about arrays. Okay, so let's go inside this main function. Now let's create an array. Let's say var, and here the name of this array is going to be party names, assignment operator, and here let's say array. And we need to put a pair of angle brackets here. Inside the angle brackets, we need to specify the data type of the values that we want to put inside the array. So the data type is going to be string. Now we need to specify the size of the array. So how many items we can put inside this array, right? So it is going to be fixed. We cannot actually change it later. We can only specify the size here. So let's say that we have 10 as the size of this array. So 10 people are going to attend to this party, right? And then we can specify a default value. So we can put a pair of curly braces. So let's just put 2 quotes here, an empty value. So later, after this line of code, we can assign a real value to each index of this array. So because the size is 10, this means that I told you that in programming, we always count from number 0, right? So we have index number 0, index number 1, index number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and finally 9. Okay, so the size is 10, right? Because we start from number 0. Now we can say party names, and I put a pair of brackets here. So inside the bracket, I need to specify the specific index that I want to initialize. So for example, index number 0, assignment operator, and here I am going to say John. John is invited to the party, right? And now we can say println party names index number 0, right? So it's going to actually go inside this array, and it's going to take a look at index number 0, and it is going to access the value that is inside of this index, and that value is going to be outputted to the console. So let's run the app, run. So in the console, the value John is outputted here, right? So that's it. But we didn't actually assign a real value to index number 1 of this array, right? So let's actually print that value to the console so that you understand that an empty value now is going to be outputted to the console if I want to print the index number 1. So let's say println party names index number 1. So now if I run the app, in the console you can see that nothing is outputted here. This is just an empty value. But I can initialize the index number 1. So before this line of code here, I can say party names index number 1 assignment operator 2 quotes, for example, Lisa. Now let's run the app. Now you can see that Lisa is outputted to the console. So in this way, we can actually initialize all these indexes. I just initialized the index number 0 and number 1 for you. So now I can print also all the values to the console. I can print all the values that are inside of this array to the console by using a for loop. So first we need to specify the variable, right? So here I can say my var in, and then we need to specify the array party names. So let's open and close this for loop by using these curly braces. So each time this for loop is going to be executed, this myvar variable here is going to access that specific value inside of that specific index. So this for loop here is going to be executed for all of the values, for all of the indexes that are inside of this array. So the size is 10, right? This means that this for loop here is going to be executed 10 times. So for the first time that this for loop is going to be executed, the index is going to take a look at the index number 0 of this array. So the value that is inside of this index number 0 of this array is John, right? So John is going to be outputted to the console. The second time this for loop is going to be actually executed, it's going to take a look at the index number 1 of this array, and it's going to access the value that is inside of that index. So the value is Lisa. So Lisa is going to be outputted to the console, right? So before this for loop here, let me just print a line here, just a new line, okay? So that it can be these values that are going to be outputted later. It's gonna be actually a space here. So by you just putting a println statement here, an empty println statement, it's gonna actually create a new line. So after this println here, I can say println 2 quotes all party names, all party names. So inside this for loop here, I just need to print this myvar to the console. So println myvar. So now let's run the app. So now in the console, you can see that it says all party names. So take a look at this new line here. All party names, John, Lisa, and the other values are actually just the default value is empty, right? So these empty values are also outputted here, but we can't see them because it is empty. So that's enough for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we're going to continue learning about arrays in programming.